Neither of us are. Did you play the music? We're not. We're skipping the music.
Yeah. Yeah,
I was just making sure. Neither one of us have headphones on. So.
Yeah. Okay, so this is IMFTE. The show with real choices, real voices, and real noises. Um, so this is our video game podcast. Yay!
I'm excited about it.
Goddamn squirrels.
Although it's actually your video game podcast, I'm just here
Well, no, because I mean you're in it. You pick the games.
That is what I said. I am in it. I guess I picked the games.
So this is I have not played any video games.
So you went a long stretch where all of us who, at our age, and we're in our early 30s, everybody would have played all the NES games, all the Genesis games, all the Super Nintendo games.
Yeah.
And you didn't have much of anything aside from like 3 Nintendo games aside from...
Yeah, so I guess the way I summed it up is like I'm really good for an amateur gamer, I guess, but like when I play against pro gamers, you'll just get demolished.
And I'm shit at all video games.
But you know all of them. You played them all.
I do.
Yeah.
I have sampled them all. I just haven't beaten hard.
You're really terrible for a pro gamer. I'm really...
Pro gamer, I wouldn't call myself
really good for an amateur gamer. Yeah. So I had NES. I think we had one previous to that where it was just a fucking keyboard that plugged into the TV, and my brother played like nonsense games.
Sounds awful.
Yeah. It wasn't even games. It was just like simulation scenario things.
This sounds educational.
No.
Okay.
It was like championship manager, like being a soccer manager. But it was just a keyboard that plugged into the TV.
So it's the thing that made your TV a computer.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but
well, we won't be playing any of those games.
Won't be playing any of those games. So the first real thing that I had was NES, and we had Super Mario / Duck Hunt, and we had Super Mario 3, and that was fucking it. That was it for years. And my brother was was too old to get into this new technology. And I was too young to be like, well, these can't be the only 2 games. There's got to be more. Why don't I ask?
I'll just play Super Mario 3 again.
Yeah. Could I get more games for Christmas? No, it didn't even enter my brain.
There aren't games. You have all the games.
Yeah.
You have the 3 games that they made for this console.
So yeah, and then so we had that, and then we had that forever until I played like a handful of Super Nintendo games, but they were just like the Mario Yoshi game, whatever that was, Super Mario World.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I was a Genesis person. I was a Sega. I was diehard for Sega until they burned me with the Sega Saturn.
Oh.
The Saturn was a big disappointment.
Oh, really? So
I've read that there are games for it that are really good, but the ones that I had were not good. Thank you, WWF in your house.
So I had my big experience with Super Nintendo, like Super Mario World, was going to like Best Buy and playing the fucking demo or whatever. Or England's equivalent to Best Buy, whatever the fuck that was. HMV or something.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
HMV sounds like a thing you don't want to catch. Actually, that's a bad name.
Either that or like a hardware store. Like a do-it-yourself store. But it was, I'm pretty sure it was HMV. I might be saying
well,
that
either
wrong.
way, we all have fond memories of going into whichever store
it was England's version
and
of
breaking our necks playing a demo for 2 hours.
No, it was England's version of Suncoast, basically. You remember that store?
I love Suncoast.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah. You could probably buy it. And just make it an online store now. But you'd have to make it look how the store felt. You'd have to make the website look how the store felt.
I don't know how to do that.
So yeah, so the biggest experience I had with Super Nintendo was like NBA Jam and NHL '95.
I love NBA Jam.
That was it. Um, and then Sega Genesis, which is like the NFL games. My dad's friend had a Genesis, and we'd go over to his house for parties and stuff, and I would just go up to his bedroom and just play Madden '94 or whatever the hell it was for a couple hours until it was time to go home. And then 64 was like the one where I played the most titles for.
Right.
And then so then from then on it was like whatever.
So
video
a
games.
giant gap.
But basically there's a giant gap between having an NES in my house to having a 64 in my house. Everything else was go to a friend's house and hopefully they have something to play.
So for today's episode,
Steven has chosen Legend of Zelda, which was the first Zelda game I've ever really played.
I think it's also the first Zelda game to exist, as
Yeah.
far as I know.
But it's the first one I've played.
I think it's the only one I've ever played too. I really want to play Breath of the Wild, but I am not buying a whole nother console to play it.
What's Breath of the Wild? Is that the new one?
The newest one.
It's fucking gorgeous.
I know, it looks great. That's why I want to play it. It looks like a lot of fun.
A friend of mine, like, he'd already beaten it, so he was walking me through it, and it's just like, it looks beautiful. So I fucking hate puzzle games.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So Legend of Zelda came out in 1986. Oh, 87. Sorry. Came out in 86 for Japanese. Came out in 87 for
Our sincerest apologies to all Japanese listeners.
several of you.
Both of you.
Both of you. Came out in 87 for the rest of us. That's it, I guess. I mean, it doesn't. There's no other fun facts for it.
Well, it was a game where you played a.
Oh, it was a bestseller. It sold over 6.5 million copies.
Which explains why everybody looks at you strange when you say you've never played it.
Yeah.
But that's fine, because I played it when I was a kid, and again, I'm bad at video games in general, but this was during the days where not only if you died, you're dead, and you go back to the fucking beginning, which I can't stand for, but also these games were so difficult that they were clearly not for children in the single digits, unless that's all they did that year when they weren't at school.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think it was just too hard for me when I was a kid. Like I couldn't parse it. Just couldn't get past stuff. And I think that's also the point in my life where I started a really bad habit, which plagues me to this day with video games, which is you stumble across a really cool thing and you only have so much space in your inventory, but you really want the cool thing, but you know you're going to need the stuff that you got later.
Okay.
And I always have the problem where I'm like, I'm sure I'll figure it out. So you drop the thing you know you'll need and you pick up the cool thing. And then you die and you go back to the beginning, at least in these games.
Okay, so you didn't make it too far in this game.
I made it nowhere in this game.
Okay. And so I gave it I went in with a real negative perception of Zelda. I mean, I'm just not a fan. I wouldn't consider myself a fan.
What is it? Is it the fantasy stuff? Is it the...
It's just the puzzleness to it.
Right.
I'm playing to have fun. I'm not playing games to think. I just fucking don't want to. I've been thinking all day. I'm here to fuck shit up and take out some aggression.
Very lucky for you that you are living right now in the like first person shooter world.
Right. So, but even with the Mario games, it wasn't Mario games weren't puzzle games. They were figure out like the sequence. Every level was a sequence. Figure out the sequence
Sure.
and like you'll get past the level. That's not a puzzle. It's just
Right.
like practice makes perfect. And like you could just get lost in that in your brain. Zelda, you have to be like, okay, fuck. If I go up one screen, over three screens, down one, back over one. Okay, now this area is like a loop. So now I have to go north 4 times until I hear that magic sound, and then I fucking go over here and like, and then here's the magic sword, the magic white sword. This is what I want.
So,
How, as a fucking 4-year-old, am I gonna figure that out?
so I got another question for you.
Okay.
Did you use a walkthrough or a guide or anything when you were messing with this?
So I gave it a solid attempt. Like I said, I'm not a Zelda fan, so I gave it a solid attempt to just play the game.
Oh, this sucks.
To
I'm gonna
just
cheat.
sit down and play it. And I got nowhere, and I got nowhere fast, and I got frustrated super easy. So that was a combination of just like,
I think you just described my life.
it, mm,
Go ahead. Sorry.
so that was just it didn't help that I came in with a predisposed dislike, and so then I had to like figure it out, and so I just got annoyed real quick. And I was like, oh, I got to do this for a show, so fuck it, I'm just doing the walkthrough. I'm just gonna see how the game is. I'm gonna just follow the walkthrough, see what it's like, and it was supposed to be a much quicker turnaround originally. It was supposed to be a week turnaround, to just turn into a couple weeks, so I could have just whatever. So I just did the walkthrough. With the walkthrough, it's a much more pleasurable game because like going through it and it's like okay, before you even start trying to do stuff, you have to do a lot of things to prepare to do stuff.
Right.
Like, oh, how do you know this as a 5-year-old?
You know, this is sounding more and more like a game that would appeal to me. I
Yeah.
mean, you've sat and watched Xbox and games and stuff that I'm into.
Oh, with like Fallout and stuff
yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, oh well, I'm still not going to go back and play it, but
Yeah. Well, yeah, and so
that was my first thought. Is like when I was thinking about inventories and needing to know certain things before you would even be able to put it together. I'm like, man, Paul's going to hate this fucking game. He's going to get real frustrated.
I did.
Well, that's okay. That's the fun of it. That's why we're talking
Exactly.
about it right now.
So, and I'm reading through how much prep work you have to do. And I'm like, holy fuck. How would you know this as a kid? How would you know this at all? Just walking into this game blind, like, oh, you need to get your health hearts up. Like, you're just starting with 3 health hearts. You need to get those up to at least 7 before you can start playing the game. Or whatever the fuck it was. And I was like, oh, all right. Oh, and also these things that pop out of the water and shoot like magic balls at you. You're gonna need to find. You need to go to these. I think you have to go to go get the money drops. Like there's places where there was like, oh, there's a bunch of coins here. There's 100 coins here, or whatever. You had to go there. So you could get up.
Now we're really getting into stuff like, how would you know this?
Yeah. So
How am I supposed to know before I even boot the game up that thing's over there and I need to dash to it?
It's 1987. I'm going to the store. I'm buying this game. I'm sitting
It's
down.
1987. I'm a year old.
And you're supposed to know that you need to go find these hidden cash drops so you can buy a magic sword and a magic shield to get through the first half of the game. Oh, and get your heart levels up to get through the first fucking half of the game.
Well, all of this is explaining really well why I never got very far in Zelda.
And this is why I fucking hate Zelda. As walking into it blind.
Right.
This is yeah.
And also the original Zelda, not necessarily pan flute of eternity. Or Breath of the Wild, for that matter.
No. So let me just go to the walkthrough here and um. So yeah, and even the walkthrough here is preparation, Dungeon 1, Dungeon 2, Dungeon 3, and so on till 9. I made it till Dungeon 5. I made it to Dungeon 6. I made it past Dungeon 5. I was on Dungeon 6.
How many dungeons?
9. So I made it most of the way through the game, and I made it 2/3 through the game. I didn't make it most of the way.
Okay.
Made it 2/3 through the game. But yeah, increasing Link's maximum health. Obtain the white sword. Obtain a magical shield. This is all stuff you need to do. Purchase the blue ring. This is all stuff you need to do before you start playing the fucking game. Nonsense. The blue ring takes down the damage level, so you don't get as much damage if you have the blue
Okay.
ring.
Sure. So it ups your defenses.
Right.
Okay, I could see why you'd want that.
Yeah.
What's the white sword do?
The white sword does more damage to the enemy.
What's the shield of Tutankhamun do? Or whatever.
The magical shield, it just there's certain things that enemies throw at you, like magic balls or whatever.
Magic balls. Okay.
Yeah, very ironic right now. They throw these at you, and if you have just a regular shield, it'll fucking hurt you. But if you have the magic shield, as long as you're facing them or somewhat facing them, you just deflect it. As long as you're not swinging your sword or whatever.
It is definitely possible to beat this game without all this shit, but much
It's
harder.
gonna be way fucking harder, yeah. So fine. I did all that, and then once you do that, it's like, okay, now you can find your way to Dungeon 1. So it's just, yeah, the whole game is like, how the fuck would you know to do this? How the fuck would you know to do this? It's just
They're all like this too. All NES games, I swear to God, they're all like this.
Yeah.
Where you have to really be an active thinker and figure this shit out, which is why I'm so embittered about the fact that I had an NES, but beyond Duck Hunt and Mario games, I'm useless. Absolutely useless.
Yeah. Because you had to figure out the tips and tricks by yourself or somehow hear it from a friend, because there's no like internet chat room that you can go to. So somebody somewhere had to figure it out first and then let that spread through the masses of little kids who have an NES.
I think the equivalent of the internet for these kind of games would have been like you go and you rent the game at your local video rental store, and some wonderful soul has scratched down all these notes in that back section of the instruction guide.
Yeah.
It's like, I've hit the fucking jackpot. I might actually get to level 3.
Yeah. So, yeah, without all this shit, the general gameplay is difficult. You die, you go back to the beginning. You die, you go back to the beginning. It took me a minute to figure out, like, okay, if I'm not swinging the sword, then I'm blocking, and I can last a little bit longer. And I was figuring it out like a toddler because I fucking never played the game before.
Did you defeat this game?
Huh?
I mean, did you defeat this game? Did you kill Ganon, I think, and rescue Princess Zelda?
No, I only made it 2/3 through.
I didn't know you. I thought that's where you were the last time we talked about trying to record this.
Yeah, but I didn't keep going.
Okay. I guess I misunderstood.
Yeah.
Never mind.
No,
So the object is not to beat the game. It's just to play it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
that's good
so
because
and
I'm gonna line up some dreadful shit for you.
no, that's fine. And if I was gonna beat the game, like blindly, like if I, it would have
Oh,
taken me 2 years.
nobody cares that much.
Yeah. So, I'd have to like, oh, this show would get really backed up. So I just played it with a walkthrough, and I made it 2/3 of the way through, and then I lost interest because it actually started getting too hard for me,
Sounds about right.
even with the walkthrough. Because it's all about timing and there's like the blue guys. I don't know such ridiculous names in this thing, but they're the blue guys, and they have like horn helmets and a shield and a sword, and they walk around, and the only way you can get them is by hitting them from behind or
Right.
from the side.
They walk around.
Yeah, and they just walk around the dungeon. And if they run into you, they just like
You're dead,
you're fucked. Yeah. So,
or you lose a heart.
so that's what I'm stuck on is those bastards. Is like I have to get in a room and it's filled with like 10 of these dudes, and you have to run around and try and hit them from behind in order to kill them.
And of course, by stuck on, you mean you gave up on those guys.
I gave up on
Okay.
the game because too many of these guys started showing up. It wasn't a big deal when it was a room with like 2 or 3 of them, but in a room with like 8 of them. It was just like, holy shit. Because once you get behind them, they immediately turn around in your face. And then you're like, oh, fuck. So you get out of his way, and there's another one right there, and oh.
Well, there's a really good. Actually, this leads to just a general video game thing that I always like to think about is all those get good fuckers out there, the 13-year-olds who will get on and swear at you and call you racial slurs, whether they apply to you or not.
Oh, the savants?
Yeah, all these
Yeah.
people who are like super good and can't possibly understand why people are bad at one video game or another. I always like to think pretty much what you said earlier, which is, man, it's a game. I'm just here to fuck around. I don't need to be good at this.
Yeah.
This is not a thing I need to be good at in my life.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is good on you for quitting. Way to succeed.
I gave it a good try. I played the game. Fuck it. I don't need to beat the thing to figure out like if I'm worth something to my parents or something.
Hey man, yeah, nobody's calling you an absolute failure for quitting this game. Nobody's calling you that.
My mind's telling me no, but my body. Yeah, no, fine, fucking. I'll probably watch a video on like how it ends, and just be like, oh, okay, well.
Yeah,
whatever.
nice.
Yeah.
That's what I always do with video games that are too hard for me. It's like, well, I'm sure I could find somebody on the internet who's good at this and just see how the story ends. Because at this point, I guess I only care about the story. I'm sure the good guy wins. I mean, unless he's controlled by me.
But yeah, the same people that would have like picked up this Zelda game and been like, my brain is telling me there's a hidden thing of rupees over here. 250 rupees. Now I can get the magical sword. I just know where it is.
I'd also like to say I'm really tickled by the fact that for the form of currency, they chose rupees.
Why?
I just think it's an odd choice.
Is that a real currency?
Yeah.
You think
Or it was at one point in the world.
Think about ruples?
No, I'm thinking about rupees.
Oh. What country?
India,
Oh.
which Link is decidedly not Indian.
No.
I don't know if they're implying that Indians are like elves.
No? Maybe.
I mean, they don't wear little green stocking caps or anything like that, so.
They do have the most mystical of religions.
Do they?
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's probably lots of argument about that.
No, because they have
The Bible has a dude got et by a whale.
Moby Dick?
That's right. Moby Dick's in the Bible.
I don't know.
All I'm saying is there's plenty of goofy stories in all religions to go around.
I guess, but like this one has. I mean,
I will say that theirs looks the coolest.
yeah, they've got the gods with like all the arms and stuff, and they got
Yeah.
magic carpet rides and shit in
Elephant
theirs.
head god.
Right. The most that ours, not ours, but the most that like Western society has is like a burning bush, and then everything normalizes pretty much.
I don't know the. Do
There's
you know
no
how
goofy looking motherfuckers.
do you know the end of the Bible?
Yeah.
People floating in midair and burning.
Oh yeah, it gets real weird at the end there.
Yes,
in
it does.
Revelations.
Well,
yeah.
see, that's all I'm saying.
Well, okay. But that's end of the world.
Welcome to our fucking religion podcast.
Which the Book of Revelations, if you think about it, is a lot like
So-
Zelda.
So we got this religion podcast going. We
Yeah, it
talk
took a
about, we talk
weird
about
turn.
video games for 20 minutes. We talk about religion.
You just gotta lure them in, man. You gotta put the carrot on the end of the stick, get them in here, and really fuck up their day.
Welcome to It's Up for Debate. Oh, we never need. We gotta never make ourselves do this so long again. Like, we maybe have to split these shows up
Oh yeah.
into 2 days, because
Well, yeah.
my mind's starting to go, obviously. And my voice, also. I think I'm getting froggy.
I feel like I'm getting froggy.
I don't know. I refuse to listen to myself.
The audience doesn't know we've done 2 shows today. Yeah, I don't know
How are we never going to reference that?
I don't know how like Joe Rogan does a 3-hour podcast with somebody, and then he does like a 3-hour MMA podcast
There's got to be like, I mean, he was a stand-up performer for so long that he's got to be like all into the vocal sprays and shit, which I guess I might be looking into getting.
Well, yeah, well, because he does like the testosterone replacement and shit.
Oh
like that,
yeah,
too,
right. He's
so-
jacked on steroids, right?
yeah.
Natural steroids.
Which I think we can agree, Link is also does a
A
little
woman?
bit of steroid use.
For the
Um,
longest time, when I was a kid,
For
that was
the
another
longest
thing.
time.
That was another thing I got confused about because it's called The Legend of Zelda,
Yeah,
and Link
Yeah,
is
that
not a
annoyed
very
me as a kid.
masculine-looking character. So I'm like, so is this Zelda? Am I Zelda? I'm cool with that if I'm Zelda, but what the fuck is Link?
yeah.
Why am I Link if I'm playing Legend of Zelda? Why isn't it Link's Legend? He's the one going on the adventures.
He's doing all the legwork.
It's like I mean, it's
It
like
would be
calling
like
it.
calling Super Mario Princess Daisy.
Yeah, right. It's like all she does is get captured.
Yeah.
Was it?
Nobody wants to play the game called Princess Daisy.
I don't know about that.
Or no, wait.
Feminism now.
Is Princess Daisy that's the
Princess
Game
Peach.
Boy. Yeah, Princess Daisy is the Game Boy one.
The one in the yellow dress.
Yeah. How do you portray a yellow dress with Game Boy graphics?
I didn't have a Game Boy.
I had 2.
I didn't have. I never went in for the portable shit
We had 2 Game Boys.
because everything looked. It was for the most part for so many years. It was just the stuff you could play at home, but shittier.
Yeah.
So
No, Super Mario for Game Boy is great. But it was awful because you'd be playing
it looks bad.
playing in the car at night and you're trying to like hold it by the window to get any kind of light you can to be able to see the screen.
See, I can't even imagine that because I was a car sickness child.
So was I.
I couldn't do anything.
It was a willing sacrifice though.
Really, I hate that feeling. I hate that car sick feeling, and you're stuck with it for like the whole day.
For like a week.
It's awful.
Yeah. No, we had 2 Game Boys and we had Ninja Turtles, Tetris, and Super Mario for Game Boy. But yeah, so yeah, the gameplay was fine. I mean, it was NES gameplay, and the story of it was a little all over the place.
Isn't it just Link has to go save Princess Zelda because everything's going to shit without Zelda and Ganon's going to take over?
Yeah, and you got to go through 9 dungeons, and you got to get pieces of the triangle.
The Triforce.
Yeah, and I do like. In the original game, because I'm obviously not playing like the release version of it, um, did it have? Because the one I was playing, like I could just continue. I had like unlimited continues.
I got a feeling that's probably because you're playing the version you're playing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't remember. I mean, when you do continue, does it kick you back to the beginning of
It
something?
kicks me back to the beginning, but I have like all my inventory and everything.
I don't know.
So if you're in a dungeon, it kicks you back to the beginning of the dungeon. If you're just walking around the world, it kicks you back to the main starting point of the game.
Right.
But you have all your inventory, and it just resets like your half your health bar.
I don't know. But if the original game was not like that, you're playing the better version.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds way easier to me. I'd be so pissed. I lost all my shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I'd be curious to see if like this is the first game because there was a continue, there was a quit, and there was a save option.
Okay.
So, like my idea of NES was I want to keep going in this game, so I have to leave it on while they go to school and then come back.
Yeah, no, that was. I think that was most NES games. Yeah,
So it was like this
and
at first.
which is why I assume that there was just a ton of burnout rate
Yeah.
early
yeah,
on
yeah.
in the console wars because everybody'd leave their game on all day.
So I'm just trying to figure out if this was like the first instance of being able to save
I
your
vaguely
game.
remember other games on NES saying you'd pick save and it'd give you like a code.
Yeah.
And you'd write the code down, and then you'd input the code next time, and then it'd take you roughly back to where you were.
Right.
Couldn't tell you what game, but I have
Yeah.
a vague recollection of that.
So and they just made it. It was too long. Obviously, I lost interest in it because to a certain point, it just got repetitive. Like if it
Well,
had,
this is also one of those games where you say 9 dungeons, but that they got like a 1-1 and 1-2 and 1-3, right?
no,
So it's not Mario style?
no, no. This is you finish first dungeon, great. Go to the second one, and like the boss of the dungeon is different every time up to a certain point. I think I'd hit that point, and then it was gonna like there's one where it's dragon with 2 heads, and then up to a certain point, and now it's a dragon with 3 heads.
Nice.
Yeah. And there was like a giant mystical eye sack that had like
Isaac.
yeah, it was
Very
like,
good.
It was an eye with like a big protective sack around it, and it would just float around and shoot things at you, and you had to like burst the sack.
So what you're saying is you could easily called it a bubble,
Yeah,
but you got your mind on the sack.
yeah, because in the walkthrough it said it was an eye.
That's not what I was referring. Okay.
You're sacked. So there was an eye sack, and then further along, now there's 2 eye sacks, and you got to beat both of them. So like it just like out of ideas, 2 eye
Right.
sacks. If it had finished at 6 dungeons, that would have been a long fucking game. It goes to 9. So yeah, it was a long game. It was unnecessarily long. I enjoyed the gameplay of it because I'm sure you didn't, but I played the Pokemon games for Game Boy.
Sure.
I'd like borrow somebody's Pokemon Yellow or whatever
And no, I did not.
in middle school, but it was similar gameplay of like walking around and trying to figure shit out.
Because I was past that shit by middle school. I was into cooler things like professional wrestling.
Yeah, I was doing both.
Well, not everybody can be as cool as you, Paul.
I don't know if it was my little sister who got me into like watching Pokemon, or I got her into watching Pokemon.
You know, I knew a bunch of people who'd be watching like Yu-Gi-Oh and shit
Yeah.
in through high school. So
They went way left field with it though. Like Pokemon came on a Sunday morning, and I was like, cool, this is all the anime I need in my life. And then Yu-Gi-Oh came out, and I was like, fucking what? no, just Pokemon's fine.
Right.
And then they were like, oh, I watch Pokemon, I watch Yu-Gi-Oh, I watch Dragon Ball Z,
Avatar,
there's Digimon.
Airbenders.
They're like, fuck, dude, Pokemon's fine with me. We're good. Incidentally, I started watching Dragon Ball Z, and it's a fine show.
I'm sure it is. I've never heard anything but good things.
Yeah, it's out of your realm of like science fiction.
You know what? To tell you the truth,
Once you start throwing aliens in, you're out or something like that.
no. For the most part, science fiction isn't my bag in general. It's really just superheroes.
Okay.
The occasional thing will come by every once in a while, but for the most part, especially when we start making up words.
Or languages.
Yeah, I hate that shit. Drives me absolutely nuts. But that's because I'm a pedantic asshole. So it's totally my problem.
It's not so much when you start making up a language for your alien species. It's when you make up the language for the alien species and there's people in the real world that are teaching classes on it.
Klingons. And
then like, oh, nope, I'm out. I just want to watch the movie. I'll read the subtitles. I don't know any languages, so if it's a language and subtitles, I'm fine with it.
God, how depressing is that there are people out there who can only speak the language that they learned first from the country they live in.
Yeah.
And instead of taking the time to learn an actual real world language, they went out and learned fucking Klingon.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Or Dothraki or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, just pick a country that's close to you.
Yeah.
Learn that language.
You could just easily pick up Canadian. Like, it's not a big deal. And then you can go to Canada anytime you want.
Yeah, hey.
Learn to apologize in a whole nother language. They're more of a Latin-based apology.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, eh?
So yeah, it was too long. The gameplay was fine. I enjoyed it. It was too puzzly going in blind. Like if the Pokemon Game Boy games, like they have the same kind of gameplay, but there's more action.
Well, every once in a while you fight.
But it's more of a relaxed action. Like
Well, that's for children.
But with Zelda, like, there's more of a panicked action.
Sure.
Like, oh, fucking so many enemies.
You
Holy
actually
shit.
just described like every video game for me.
Yeah.
I'm constantly panicked. That's why I can't play video games.
Whereas, like, with Pokemon, it's like, oh, fuck, there's an enemy. Okay, let me slowly take this guy out, and then I can keep going about my day. With Zelda, it's like, oh, here's 11 dudes. You have to poke them in the ass. But they don't like that.
Sounds like a hell of a
So
party.
they're going to swing around and dildo you right in the face. So it's more panicked action. Like, ugh.
That version of Zelda definitely exists on the internet, by the way.
Sure. It
I'd
all
love to
exists
see it.
on the internet.
Love to see it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So no, got a bit of a pass for you.
So it was, I give it a C plus, I guess. It was fine. It was just too long. It was overkill. It was too long.
Certainly nothing you'll ever revisit.
No, I'm good. But it did swing the pendulum back to the middle a bit. Whereas, like, I fuck Zelda. I don't care. I don't ever want to. It's
I fuck Zelda.
It's on the internet. www. Yeah. Whereas it was like, I fucking hate this game. I'm not playing it. I don't care. I won't play any Zelda games. It swung it back to the middle. Where it's like,
Sure.
all right, okay, this wasn't bad. I didn't mind the gameplay. It was too long of a game. But I'll check out some other Zeldas. So.
And consequently, if anybody would like to sell either one of us a very lightly used, very cheap Nintendo Switch, I'd still really like to play Breath of the Wild.
Or if Nintendo would like to just give us a Nintendo Switch because we are...
This episode brought to you by the Nintendo Corporation of America.
We can give you tens of customers.
Yeah, who
potentially in the future.
Who potentially already own your products, but that's okay. Just keep cranking them out, and we'll keep wrangling them for you.
We're the deep cut podcast. We're like, you really have to be into it to find us, and you really have to be into it to have listened this far.
Thanks for joining us today
Yeah.
on It's My First Time.
It's my first time. So I think I don't know. But next will be Battletoads, and most of this will be retro games.
Battletoads is action. I will give you that much. Battletoads will be action, no puzzles. It's just really difficult.
And it's a sequence game. You figure out the sequence.
Right, exactly.
Fine by me.
There is one level that is
Puzzly.
fucking diamond hard.
Yeah.
That's still sequence.
Yeah.
But timing your jumps and you'll get fucked up multiple times on that.
Okay. So so this would be like basically PS2 games and back.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Bye.